All right. Hi, everyone, to another episode of Goddess TV. And I am here with the beautiful Dina Divine. Many of you have seen her as one of our beautiful priestess leaders at the No Goddess Left Behind gathering. She also is one of the most amazing photographers. I owe this woman my life when it comes to my wedding pictures. She saved the day. So she just has an incredible intuitive eye, which totally leads to the class that she's teaching today. She is going to be teaching a class on light language and then also doing an activation meditation. And Dina is an incredible woman. She is a Reiki master. She is I just want to get this right, a ascension guide, transformational coach, quantum integration dance teacher, and she utilizes Jungian breath process work, dance, breath work, sound, light language, all kinds of shamanic traditions, and pulls them all together to teach us how to be more in touch with vibration and energy. And she's the real deal, this one. I have seen her move energy and just weave her magical, awesome powers. And we're just so grateful you're here to share your gifts, Dina. So thank you so much. And thank you all who are watching and who are here part of this classroom. So just pass it on to you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jenny. So whether you're here with us now and tuning in after, I'm really excited to be here. This has been something that been with me through quarantine this last 2 months as really big growth moment, and just coming out into the public and sharing this new opening, the gifts. I've been doing a lot of personal sessions. Sharing with a collective, especially with the goddesses here, is like my biggest calling. So I'm actually a little nervous because it's a wonderful thing that I'm so hopeful I'm going to seed you with, and will open your awareness to something you potentially might have never even thought of or explored. I know it came into my life unexpectedly. So with that said, I actually going to share my screen. Let me see. Can you all see it? The presentation? Okay, wonderful. So Love Ripple Transformation Ascension Academy is basically an umbrella that my husband, my twin flame, and my divine union, we created, and we've been exploring them since we've met for the last 5 years, the concept of ascension and transformation. So as Jenny has mentioned, I've done a lot of shamanic work. I've explored different spiritual avenues, I would say. So my luggage is quite full. So this is, I wanted kind of to backtrack a little bit into my story, specifically as it's related to the light language, because I feel through the story it becomes very real. And then I'll go into the introduction of what is light language, and then so that's kind of the first part, and the second part will be actually like a meditation and activation, so more experiential. So this is more kind of for your brain, and then we will kind of go into disconnecting the brain and into the experience itself. So I want to start with the Goddess Gathering in 2018, because that was 2 years ago. Really sad that I think with everything happening, we're not going to have it this year. 2018 Goddess Gathering was a really special event where a lot of us gathered at Jenny's Growing Heart Sanctuary, and that gathering was special for me because we had the theme of embodying different goddesses. And as you can see here, I was in the Yamaja group. And the reason why I'm mentioning this particular event 2 years ago, because it was at the Goddess Gathering that I felt something really start shifting in me. We were singing a lot of songs by the bonfire late at night, and throat chakra was something that I was still working through. I never thought of myself as a singer. I was kind of unpeeling, the blockages of the feminine collective when it comes to singing and being comfortable. And since it was such a nourishing and beautiful collective, we did the songs to the water, we did so many prayers. It was just such a beautiful collective event that, especially I remember that at the bonfire, I remember started singing some songs that kind of a little bit coming out of me, and I wasn't thinking, and feeling a little more comfortable expressing myself, which was what triggered the next course of events to where I am today, which is quite amazing. Never expected that the Goddess Gathering would be that catalyst, which is not surprising, Jenny. So that summer, I had Lyme disease, and which was really also a beautiful thing, because through Lyme disease, I really got in tune with my body, with how to nourish my body, take all these herbal protocols, and I got a little more sensitive to sound. I think with Lyme, sometimes you get a little more hyper aware, and all of a sudden, like, I started hearing some sounds that perhaps I wasn't hearing before, and the healing process was pretty quick, I would say, from the awareness to when I checked in with my body. It was only a month and a half, but it actually helped me through the I guess awareness that was happening. So this brought me to September 2018. We were in Adirondack Mountains. I was with another couple. It was actually our anniversary, and as we were hiking, we were kind of doing some plant medicine, microdosing with our friends. And my friend, who is a crystal healer, she's very in tune. She started encouraging me to sing, and I was like, I don't sing, it's okay. She's like, no, please sing. So I had a transcendental experience. So I was just humming, and all of a sudden I saw these kind of beams of light as we were sitting in this beautiful hills, kind of overlooking the valley. These beams of light kind of going through, and all of a sudden I was producing these overtones that I've never produced before. Was almost like an observer of the experience, and didn't really understand what was happening. It kind of lasted 5 minutes, and when it was over, I opened my eyes and I looked at my friend, and I was like, whoa, what just happened? So that was, I would say, my first experience of what I now know is called light language, which is essentially, and we'll talk a little more what it is, and overtones is kind of a base of a lot of light language. So it was like this channel of light that I experienced during that weekend. So I came back and I decided to explore it further. I reached a couple of teachers. I did some sessions without any plant medicine, just trying to really open to this new experience. I'm like, what is this? I've never experienced this before. And that was like a whole year process. I was invited in, I would say, reading some books and kind of slowly developing it. And the year after, I was at Burning Man this past year in September 2019, and I always have pictures at the sunrise. I would like bike out sometimes by myself, and I would see the sun rising. And there was always that moment with the sun where I noticed I was just kind of not just producing the sounds, but something was also kind of coming out of me that sounded like a language, but I didn't know exactly what I was saying. And I felt the sun itself was supporting these frequencies. And we can talk a little more about the sun, but the sun is actually a higher dimensional being. So this, when you gaze sun, you actually directly gaze in at that frequency, and that's why I started experiencing those things. So, and then we went to Mount Shasta, and as many of you know, Mount Shasta is another really powerful vortex that energetically is very supportive. And in Mount Shasta, I had another experience where real transmission started coming through. So I would just kind of start really making the sounds, speaking language, and really kind of broke through into the experience that I'm having today. And so I came back and I was like, wow, this is all amazing, but I feel like I don't know enough about this still. I'm reading the books. And so I started following this woman. Her name is Jamie Price. She's in Sedona. And in October, November, I decided it's my 40th birthday in March of this year that just passed. I celebrated home, like all of us, during quarantine. But what was amazing, I had a strong calling that I have to come out to Sedona. And so this all happened right before we got all shut down with the quarantine, end of February. And so I signed up to this in October. I go on a leap. It's a leap weekend to this amazing workshop where I essentially meet my soul family. This is actually a picture at the sunrise in Sedona on the leap day on February 28th, 2020. And these beautiful goddesses. I mean, the class was big. It was about 45 people, but within the class, I found my soul sisters. And here, I don't have the videos, but we at some point just sitting and singing all together in harmony in different languages. And it was just really profound, amazing experience with a lot of activation with the sun, which, you know, I didn't even foresee how important that would be going into the next 2 months of being, locked down in Jersey City, at New York. Pretty much a week after I came back, my office in New York got shut down, and I've been home. And there's a lot of that fear programming going on, and I decided that the best way for me to go through it, not just by myself, is to just also help others. And so I started offering these personalized transmissions. Light language transmission is a great practice for me. So, and I did them over the course of the last 2 months. So after my work, I would also dedicate some time between homeschooling my kid, doing my work. I would also dedicate time to these personal sessions. And amazing things came through. I mean, there were sessions where people lost their loved ones to the virus, and the angelic energies came through. Just a lot of calibrations, essentially, and we'll talk a little more of what exactly it does. But it was just such a beautiful offering that I could give others to move through whatever they needed to move through sound. So I wanted to kind of pause here for a second because, and we'll talk about more about what that means. What also was happening to me during that that time, right before Sedona, and after, is a great memory. We did a ceremony, and I had a great memory where I literally went into this avatar body, and I could wiggle my tail and see my nose and feel being in this avatar body. And it's kind of like in the movie Avatar, but a little different. And I had this full embodiment and understanding that I'm much more than this physical body, that I also have a galactic body, and in aspects of myself, my higher self, and this is one of them. And I reached out to this beautiful woman in UK who I've been following, and she actually personalized this painting for me, which is actually, you can see hanging behind me. She also animated it. And so this particular race, there's many of them, is called Lyrans, from the constellation of Lyra or Lyra. And a lot of the language that I channel is Lyran. So there's many, we'll talk a little more, there's many different galactic languages, but when it comes to galactically, I know this is kind of my home origin, my mother tongue, and it starts varying. It's not only Lyran, but that's kind of my particular connection. So with that said, I just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of the story of my personal story with light language and how it made a profound change for me. So light language, what it is, essentially it's a higher self communication. So it's a unique form of channeling, and it's a universal soul language. So as you saw, like the the Lyran self, knew this language always. So we all have these languages that we already know. They embodied within our soul programming. They are codes within our DNA. And as we start activating and re-remembering, so light language also helps, and I'll talk a little more, for DNA activation and genetic imprinting and cellular memory. As we open up, um, these tones, these languages, they become part of who we are. So when we speak regular language, like I'm speaking English to you, I also speak Russian and Hebrew. Those are languages that are linear. Those are earth languages that can't be translated. So you know exactly what I'm saying, word to word, right? There's a direct translation. With light language, there's no direct translation because the language itself is multidimensional, it's quantum. So think of it like quantum packets of information that are all put within. So there's a lot of light codes, and so as I'm speaking the light language and it's channel, and it's usually I work with intention when I channel, whether it's for the group or for that particular person. Your higher self acts as a filter to receive exactly what it needs to receive. So your higher self knows exactly what it needs. So it will activate specific aspects of yourself and your DNA encodements that are needed for you. And since it's multidimensional, it's very kind of spherical in some ways, and the language itself. So when I transmit, it all happens in the present moment, in the flow. There's no thinking at all. It just literally, I close my eyes, it comes out, and it can be singing, it can be tones, it can be just speaking, and I'll talk a little more about the different kind of communication types there are there. So it's essentially dynamic sound, interacting with the energy field, and it's the language of the heart because it comes from higher frequency bandwidth. So it's a frequency of love. It affects the morphogenic field, that your blueprint and your consciousness level starts changing as it receives what it needs. So there's always an integration process that also happens after. And I'll mention it again after the meditation. I always tell people to drink a lot of water because the integration process can continue for 24 to 48 hours. Because it's like, think of it like, you know, you receive a little bit, you think you received a little bit, actually you received the whole package of things, and then it starts trickling in, and then all of a sudden your consciousness in subtle realms start receiving more into your blueprint. So there's a lot of subtle work here that your conscious mind doesn't always know what's happening, but you receive what you need. There's also a beautiful component of sacred geometry that is play. Essentially, if you think of creation, right? If you can think of form, it's really form got created by light and by sound. So those two things are necessary to create form. And so, but sometimes sound travels faster than light. I mean, they kind of in balance sometimes. So that's why we call it light language, because the sound is able to penetrate through these subtle realms that, for form to be created or to be moved and intrinsically change on the subatomic level. And as I said, and we'll talk a little more about dimensions, these languages, they're on different levels and they're very dimensional. So there's a bigger aspect of energy that is here as well. In general, you receive healing, because as I said, your higher self is your filter. So you will receive the emotional or some mental, physical, spiritual healing, as it will help you to unblock perhaps something that needed to be unblocked. So something always shifts, and your current vibration interacts with this higher vibration, because essentially, if you can think of it's a channeling, right? It's a source energy that comes through. So when I bring it in, I always feel like I'm bringing it from somewhere, this high frequency band, and then some sort of entrainment that's happened. And there's, as a result, you start feeling deeper communication within yourself and also with your environment, with life and what you interact with. And as I mentioned, intention, like ceremony, with like energy, everything we work with, energy flow when intention goes, right? So same with the light language. So I always I have an intention set to it. So let's talk about types of light language communication. So on your right side, you can see that in a harmonic universe, some say 12, some say 15 different dimensions in the time matrix that we exist in. There's different bandwidth and different wave points. So the further you kind of go out, whether we are in this physical body from, in the third D, or we go out to like fifth, sixth dimension, there we're able to interact with different frequencies because it's all frequencies. The only difference between dimension is frequency and density. So so first, further out there, right, in the high etheric realms, so this is probably 13, 14, 12, 11, you have angelic frequencies. So you perhaps heard of archangels, right? Elohim, seraphim. So those are higher frequencies. So sometimes the angelics come through, and usually for me, they come through as singing. There's a I start through my experience and practice, I can now recognize more or less the source of the frequency itself. The angelic come in for physical and emotional healing. So for instance, I did a healing for someone who just found out that her cousin died from the virus, and it was unexpected, and we still decided to do the transmission. It was a lot of angelic frequency, of course, because of the trauma that was experienced at that moment, just finding out your loved one passed away. So there was a lot of emotions and a lot of emotional healing going through. Also deeper connection to divinity, to the source energy, because it's coming from such high frequency band. Then we have galactic communication. So as I mentioned myself, that I can trace it to the Lyran system, to Lyran language. And there's also so many dialects. I know some people who know 40 languages. It's incredible. But you always kind of start with your home mother tongue, and then you expand outwards. So there are, you might be familiar, or might be not. There's Lyrans, then Arcturians, Andromedans, Pleiadians, Orions, Centaurians, Alpha Centaurians, and more and more. And there's a huge galactic family that we came from. So our soul knows that the soul came this is just the form. The soul has all the memories, just it's not always aware. And so the galactics, the transmissions usually are more mental. In some ways, they are for some information, whether it's technological information for your own evolution, whether it can, it's some sort of sometimes message for you to navigate your path forward if you're like stuck for whatever reason in your life and you need a little more understanding. So the galactic language usually helps with that. And it can also originate from different races and even different time streams from the same galactic races. So it's amazing. It's like there's no, in multidimensional space, there's no past or future. It's all in the present and spherical. So the information comes from everywhere. And then there's elemental. Elemental, if you can think of the elves and the fairies, so more frequencies that interact with nature and feel the signs. So I experience fairies a lot in the forest. It's so fun. They're really playful, and I know it's them, and they just like make me laugh right away. And I have this big smile, and they're so like they just want to play, and they're just so like bubbly. So the fairy language is really fun. And then the earth languages, they, you know, sometimes in some transmissions, like when I do group transmissions with my group, we have sometimes Native American languages come through because we're doing a lot of healing now of the earth. We're going through transition. So those kind of languages still kind of come through as part of the transmission as well. And in general, we all, as I talked about intention, the intention is always to allow benevolent and loving energies to come through the open channel, because we only want to channel truth and love for, you know, humanity's highest good. So that's kind of on types of different light language communication. And how do you perceive the light language? So usually everyone is very individual. Some people experience it as physical sensation. So whether it's tingling of energy or hot or cold or some twitching or hearing some sounds. Never had anyone experience nausea, but definitely a lot of tingling. And sometimes it continues on after hearing it as well, because there's still that integration. There's the emotional sensation, sometimes spontaneous tears, you know, because emotions come up, or that feeling of home, because your soul, I've been hearing that a lot from people who heard the language. They were like, I'm feeling home. Your soul is having that connection. It has that reawakening, so it feels like home. The mental senses is usually that message you receive, or some sort of solution, or some sort of insight, even of how to deal with a particular question at play. And there's some sort of perception shift that happens, something like a little download you received during it, and light language helped you to arrive to that. And from psychic senses perspective, people see a lot of colors. So that's like very typical from my experience of how people see rainbow colors. So it's all a color. Sometimes people see actually an image, and those who see images, I tell them, well, I'll record it because that's really profound. It doesn't happen that often. Sometimes they hear additional music to what I'm playing, some angelic voices. I mean, essentially you're opening up to extra perceptions, so anything can come through. So with psychic senses, depending how open you are during it. So, and the forms of channeling, so there are 4 different forms. There's singing, speaking, signing, and then there's writing and painting. So I actually just wanted to play quickly this video. This is myself in Sedona, and I'm mostly here just signing and speaking. I'm not singing here, but usually I do all the singing, the speaking, and signing at the same time. Obviously you can't really write at the same time as you do those, but so I just wanted to give very quick clips to just show you of how that looks like.
Kua kinarura lalu aki kunaka anu ki ina ara I uku aki na kusarira nu ika ikula lina makakuri ana kisa kuroru ana ki aru akina
So as you can see, there's a lot of I'm in the moment, and it's very spontaneous, but I sometimes see them actually as codes, as symbols. So like as I'm signing, the movements themselves with the body also a part of the transmission, because it's essentially, again, bringing and anchoring the frequencies, and movement of energy is another way to anchor the frequencies. So it kind of happens all together as part of the process. I'm basically, during it, I'm guided exactly what to do and how to move, and it's all happens spontaneously. So so I actually like to stand when I do them. Today I'm going to be sitting, but to really like open up. It's nice to stand and be grounded on earth somewhere. Those are like somewhere in Portal and Sedona is like the best too. Oops. So all right. So quickly, I want to allow a little bit of time for meditation. So I'll go through this quickly. So I wanted to give you a little bit of examples of the writing of the last form, the writing. And it's a really powerful tool. So these are actually cards from Jamie Price. So you can see different types of writing. So you can see here there's the Pleiadian writing. This message here is future creating, and then on the right side is trust, and this is serious language, so she can actually tell which one is which, and looks like wiggly lines, but actually if you trace it back to sacred geometry and geomancy, there's essentially a lot of light language code, light code activation here. Even if you look at them for a while, you also receive and it also becomes this beautiful art. So wanted to share. So this is another piece by Jessica who painted the lion that I shared. This is Andromedan woman, and she also has light language around it. So it can be incorporated in the art form in a beautiful way. This is a Pleiadian woman. So another beautiful depiction to really feel the energies of different galactic goddesses. So talking about goddesses, we all come from. This is a Syrian goddess. Again, specific frequency here as well, because she's encoded it with light language. You can tune into that. And then I just want to share some other art from like my friends and things, just to give you examples of the man. You can do this, just kind of sit down and start drawing, channeling. So this is from a friend of mine. You can see this is a complete different. This was actually from a friend who was with me, sitting next to me in the workshop in Sedona. This is very Andromedan, like very, as you can see, linear, different kind of codes. They all kind of like codes. This one is very powerful too, from another dear friend. This is from Amara, another woman I follow, and can tune to that. That's more angelic, higher frequency light codes. And this is her, also her painting of dragons. She has a whole series of dragons, and using light language to depict them. This one, another two guys that I follow, name is in DNA activation. So this a more Pleiadian type of language. This is from them as well. Light code activation for self-worth. So as you can see, there's different way they've been incorporated into art form, and they can be just as powerful. This is from them as well. This is called Atlantean Soul. So just a lot of also codes coming in for activation of the grids of the Gaia. This one was a beautiful project. Different people in the group that I'm part of for Earth Day created their own paintings of the new Earth. And then kind of this is a collage of the new Earth, and you can see like different frequencies of how everyone felt through the light language, what that new Earth will feel like. You can see the transition of the Earth is. This one is actually something recently that I haven't been writing much, but it came from me and I animated that. So that was another kind of beautiful, you would think some wiggly lines, but really there's deeper connection there. And this last one I love a lot. This is by a woman named Lini. She lives in Thailand, and have some of her well I've been working with for a few years. And she has also these beautiful paintings. This is Sahmet, if you know the goddess in Egypt. This one I also animated for her. So I feel when they animated, they kind of become more alive because the codes themselves are very alive. All right, so this is the first part. Kind of, I just wanted to give you a little bit about the light language. Next part would be about the actual activation. So I'll stop sharing. Anyone has any questions before we jump into the meditation itself?
I have some questions, but we'll have a Q&A at the end, right?
Okay, well, it's going to be really hard to speak, but we can try.
Oh, is it better to ask a question now?
Well, if you have specifically about something here, yeah, it's good to ask now.
I guess this is, Dina, first of all, amazing job. This was an incredible presentation. Really amazing. Thank you. You know, I'm just playing devil's advocate for like people who listen and they're like, oh, you know, light language, how does that really apply to this material reality? How can it actually help me get that new job, make more money? You know, can you speak to that? Because I do think sometimes people can perceive this a little out there and like overly esoteric, and you know, and just speak to that. How can you ground it into this reality? Like what are some, you know, applicable ways?
Well, the way I see it, and I'm very much, as you know, a person who works still a corporate job, and I do this. And I feel this helps me to actually be completely integrated with who I am, and actually very, very expanded, because I'm all of a sudden realizing the enormous potentials that I have that I never even imagined, that I'm able to bring through these multidimensional frequencies into this guy, into this reality, into the new earth that we're creating, because we are creators of our reality. And help others to calibrate, to really embody and really trust who they are and their enormous potential. So if we expand, I mean, we all here on a journey, Earth is a school, we're here on a journey of expansion and learning, and kind of, you know, expanding ourselves and teaching others as a collective into whatever we want to create into our next step of evolution. So yes, right now we're going through some challenging time, but you know, we've been talking about these times as prophecies for years. So if anything, this was foreseen. So if you know how to be in the 0 point, if you know how to be in the center and embodied and powerful and speak your language, that's your true language, which is not just a language that's so mental, English or whatever, earth language, but also galactic or angelic, then you are the universe. I mean, you are the creation, and what stops you from manifesting whatever you desire? So if anything, this has really, you know, really empowered me in a way that it has never before. And it helped me also to be very coherent during this times. Like this 2 months, I've been busier than I've ever been busy work-wise, and also with this. So I feel like we can balance so much, knowing that there's this other aspect of things it seems like esoteric, but it's not. It's really where we came from. And so if we can accept our truth of who we are, and we can say, wow, this is incredible. Imagine, Jenny, we have our next goddess gathering in, let's say, 10 years, and all of a sudden we can speak in other tongues, right? In other languages, because they're not tongues, they are multidimensional languages, understand each other. Just like everyone was talking about, the telepathy is the next thing for us as we evolve. I mean, in 5th dimensional reality, everyone, there's no you and I, we all able to understand each other. So this is kind of that next level of evolution for us, to be able to understand each other in higher frequency. This is what this is about. This is about that the frequency we're in, and how can we raise it. Does that make sense? I don't know if I tied it together.
Absolutely. And I think you're a perfect role model, because you are so successful in the material world. You know, you are extremely, from what I know, very logical and also very practical, but also have this other side where you think very galactically. You know, you realize that, and I think it comes to a fundamental thing too, when we make the shift, that we're not only, you know, in our bodies, and we're not only humans, but we're like, um, you know, global citizens, but we're also galactic citizens, right? And
We,
most of us haven't realized that. Most of us can't even deal with
I
the
know,
squabbles with our neighbors. So whatever. All right.
right?
Thank you,
But this
Dina.
this is all about perspective, right? The bigger
Yeah.
perspective we have, right? The larger it is, the more we go into dimensional density, like higher out, the more you're like, oh wow, okay, I get it. You know, there's the macro, micro as above, so below. We're completely playing that all out here. But I also feel as goddesses, we have a sacred divine responsibility to help our mother Gaia to evolve. And so for me, light language, besides everything else, is a way to bring these frequencies in to help her awaken. Because that's really, I think a lot of us on the soul level, we volunteer to be here right now, not just for our own evolution. Honestly, it's really all about her. So so as we bring these frequencies into this bandwidth for her, she, you know, with our personal, you know, she's awakening, and that's the transition we're in. So yeah, so
Thank you so much, Dina.
yeah.
Did anyone else have a question? Irina or Venus, did you have a question?
All right, so let's go into the
Oh,
experience
wait, I think
itself.
Irina had a question.
I think Irina's muted. Yeah.
I just wanted to say that I got so fascinated when I first heard Dina like do one of her transmissions like a few months ago when you kind of just discovered it. And I just saw that she's also working with the balancing the masculine and feminine energy with some, and I got these rods. And I'm kind of like fascinated to get this like closer look on who she is, how she functions, and like what's the message. Because I'm so excited to work with the tools that she created with her partner. So I have like, it's all so new to me. So I guess I don't even know which questions I have yet.
And that's okay. It's okay not to have any questions. And that's why I want to jump into experience, because I can talk the talk, but really the experience speaks for itself. And I'm really about the experimental part of it. But context is always good too. So let's take the time to just kind of close our eyes and find a comfortable seat. And now let's take a deep breath in, scanning our systems, checking on our mental, emotional, physical system. And if there's anything right now that's not serving and needs to be let go, exhale out with your mouth open. And another deep breath in. And exhaling it out. Another deep breath in. Coming present to the now. And now I'd like you to put your hands on your heart and think of a happy memory, perhaps something that happened recently or all the way to your childhood. I remember myself as a little girl running through the field. So think of a happy memory, and as you think it, feel the joy and happiness, and see and feel how that joy turns into a golden ball of light in your heart center. Feel in your heart center with this golden light. Another deep breath in. Let's expand this golden light through every cell of your body. And take another deep breath in and expand it even further. Imagine yourself as though you're sitting in an egg with this golden light and you're in the middle of it, and that you're engulfed and surrounded in this golden light. Now let's take another deep breath in, and let's take this golden ball of light from your heart center, and with your intention, move it down to your solar plexus, down to your root chakra, through your legs, imagining as the roots coming out of your legs, all the way into the ground, into the earth. Further down, you're bringing this golden ball of light to the core of Mother Earth. And here, you rest your roots, feel the connection with Mother Earth, feel the grounding, the nourishment and support, and all that love and connection you have as a goddess connected to the feminine mother energy, the connection you have assisting Mother Gaia to awaken just as much as you awaken yourself. You have this symbiotic relationship, building and grounding. Let's take another deep breath in. Thank you, Mother Gaia, Mother Earth. We're going to take our ball of light and bring it back through the roots, through the legs, through the root chakra, solar plexus, back to our heart. Let's take another deep breath in. And now we're going to look up to the farther sky. We're going to look up to the stars, to the spinning galaxy. And we're going to connect to our galactic family. So we're going to bring our golden ball of light through the throat, through the third eye, through crown chakra, all the way above your head. You can bring it up 4 feet above your head or even further out. Bring it out to the farther sky, your golden ball of light. Now just kind of stay here and float and see if you can find deeper connection. Shiku Ishua Kishikuai Mashujiki Ujamakai Kuniai Kashara Rakumai Ushikima Inikani Kushikinia Ushiku Ushu Jibuai Ukanasha Waishiki Munakanishi Waiki Ushu Masha Anuku Ishimai Jumakai Siu Titu 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 Tao Jikuma Ijiruaki Ishikani Laliu Laraku Lara Ishikamaji Kushikina Ukinikasha Umakini Washikanara Ikuna. Uki Ukiai Alikuni Lili Lulurishi Wakini Alikujima I Inakunashika. Ukashishi Anikanashama Aku Nishika Anaraina Kuratikashima. Now take a deep breath in, collecting the frequencies into your golden ball of light. And the next breath in, we're going to bring this golden ball of light back through the crown chakra to the third eye, into the heart. Wiki mu ishikanu i u imana I ana. Ishua ina isha ita isha ima eta. Take another deep breath in into the body, integrating the golden ball of light in your heart to every cell of your body, expanding that, noticing any difference. Another deep breath in, and we're slowly coming back, opening our eyes. And if it's hard to kind of come back, you can always, I like to pinch my muscles here. I'm here, I'm here. Tap yourself.
Thank you so much, Dina. Thank you so
you.
much. Can you tell people a little bit about the sessions you offer and how people can get in touch with you?
Sure. So I've been offering personal sessions. So that would be working with specifically a transmission for you, for your higher self and the intention you want to set. So people can reach me either on Facebook as Dina Divine, and or find me there. I have a page, Love Ripple, on Facebook. So check that as well. And we can set up time on and kind of best intentions and anything else that you want to learn about light language as well.
And then our sessions usually like 30 minutes. What is it, 30 minutes?
Yeah,
or?
usually the session is 30 minutes to 45 minutes, depends on kind of what the person wants to process. And yeah, the transmissions themselves usually 10 minutes or so to 15, depending on the person. There's no like timestamp on them, and we work directly for your intention and whatever it needs to happen. I'm also planning to offer a masterclass, and it's going to be more of a program that I'm thinking of about 6 weeks, if not more than that, for those interested in light language. So that's something I'm working on right now, because I'm very interested about everyone speaking light language and that being part of their reality, because I feel this is the next step for us in our evolution, especially those of us who are interested in and then the AI turns on like Alexa to remind us about organic versus non-organic, which is another reason why I'm so into light language, because I feel this is a way for us to keep our organic timelines. So if anything that I didn't speak about is light language also helps to anchor the timeline that we set course for. versus the other timelines that we're competing with. So, so more on that. So yeah, so light language course, I think, or program, because I really feel it's a group program that will be most beneficial to those who are interested to learn. So reach out to me if you would be interested in that as well, because I'm working on forming that.
That's wonderful. And Venus had one question. Is that okay if she asks it now?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Hi. So as you were doing the transmission, a thought came to me. So when this is happening in the experience, are you cognitively or consciously aware of what the message is, or is it more a feeling? Like okay, I know you speak another language, I'm bilingual. When I speak in Spanish, I could think I know in English what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So is it
no, so Venus, I was explaining a little early, there's no direct translation, and I can sometimes understand some of the messages or catch specific activation that's happening. Like if I'm doing personal activation, specific activation that's happening for that person, and whether in their body or something else. So there was a lot of throat, a lot of the heart. I don't know if you were feeling that. A lot of activation of that, of the crown chakra as well. Overall, there was a kind of message of stay in your heart and in your center and open up to your divinity. That's what I was hearing. So that sometimes I kind of catch like little messages, I would say, and the person will get more. So usually in the personal session, I share first what I receive, because sometimes I receive much more depending, and then the person usually gets like the other part of it. So it's always very interesting. And so the light language personal versus in the group is always very different.
Thanks.
Yeah, and it's so beautiful. I do group just light language meetups with my people, and it's just amazing. It's like this orchestra of universe, because everyone is kind of transmitting something else, and it's just so gorgeous when we have a transmissions. We have like at least 5 minutes of silence, because it takes us a lot to come back and integrate, because so much comes through. So, and that's the beauty. Like I can't put it in words of the amazingness of being able to connect like that to these frequencies, and then work together to bring these frequencies to Earth right now. It's definitely, I feel, the future for us, to start really connecting to our bigger selves in that kind of way. So yeah, so if anyone has any questions, this might all feel like over your head, please reach out and I can break it down more. We can chat.
Dina, thank you so much. I feel like this was an episode of Gaia TV selling Venus. It was great. Maybe that's your, that's where we'll see you next. Thank you again. This is recorded. I'll send it to you, and it'll be available on the No Goddess Left Behind group for people to watch later. And again, very enlightening, very cool, very interesting, and really wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Really.
Yeah, and any of you who's doing ceremonies, this is not foreign to you. So I feel it's kind of an extension of ceremony work as well, to maybe perhaps another level. So yeah. We can weave that in somehow in there.
Yeah, it makes sense of all the geometric shapes that we see.
Yes.
Have a wonderful night. Thank you all for coming and watching. Thank you, everyone. We love you, and sleep tight, sweet dreams. Dream of your Andromeda, Orion, higher self beings tonight.
Or just be open to it. That's all.
Yeah.
Well, part of you just, if you listen tonight and did meditation, part of you will activate. So drink a lot of water, because the integration will keep on going. And yeah, pay attention to your dreams, absolutely, because those subtle messages are in there as well. And just open your awareness to other possibilities, and just play with sound, play with just, it sounds like gibberish, but actually something's coming out. Allow that, whatever wants to come out, because it might be something more expensive than you think. And also, if you're into painting and drawing, allow yourself to be that creative, where just you go into meditative state essentially, and then just allow for whatever wants to come out. So because I think we are we are the channels here. Thank you
Awesome.
so
Thank
much.
you again. Thank you, everybody. Sweet dreams.
Sweet dreams. Bye.
We'll see you next time.